announcement. I might be too quiet. Can you turn up the gain just like a smidge?
Yeah. Oh, let me make sure I get the right one.
Okay.
I almost did the wrong one.
Okay, I'm sorry. That looks good.
Okay.
Alright, well, let's wait for everyone to get here.
Don't start the gameplay yet. It's handcrafted, handmade for this stream.
Yeah, so just for clarity, this isn't live gameplay. This is pre-recorded gameplay, just as like background footage. I'm gonna have to turn off that noise, the follow alert noise. I'll leave it. Well, I can hear it in my ears.
Oh.
I'm just taking these off.
Okay, fair enough.
Is the audio off on this? Yes. Okay.
Good.
So, welcome everyone. Again, this isn't going to be live gameplay. We're not going to be playing like on the stream. We're just going to be answering some questions from chat. Is my overlay working? It is working. Okay.
Oh, nice. Let's go. Professional streamer.
Thanks for help getting me into YouTube. No worries. No worries at all. Finally got a stream. Welcome. I'm going to, you know what, you all can hold me this. I'm going to try and do these more, not like Q&A streams, just like streams generally. I've been having a lot of fun on Black Ops 6 actually, so I might stream that. Thanks for the follows, everyone who's just followed. And yeah, so we're just going to be answering any questions about aiming that anyone has. What are these?
Maybe. We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Because we've got background footage prepared, so we can just let that like play and talk over it. How do you feel about the new update? I love it. My tweet wasn't like exaggeration. It's actually made it feel like a new game for me.
Every time she would play it, she would look like she just got off of work. When
Genuinely,
she game.
it felt like I just finished a 9 to 5.
Update.
All right, do we get it playing?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, we're taking questions from chat. So just ask away. This VOD will be on my second channel after we're done. So I'll try and upload it probably tomorrow. We'll see. Using fingertip or claw. Actually, we've got a nice balance here. I use claw, you use fingertip. I just like the stability that claw offers compared to fingertip.
I just like the mobility that fingertip offers compared to claw.
We consider switching to new OP1W 4K. I wasn't actually going to buy it and I wasn't going to make a video about it, but I've had probably 24 people ask me if I'm going to buy it and make a video on it. So I might try a bunch of like OP1 adjacent mice and make a video that's like, you know, can a mouse become my new main? Trying a bunch of challenges.
That's actually cool.
It was Techless's idea.
Yeah, that's
actually,
good.
So.
You should get like 3 or 4 like common mice that people are hyping up right now and say.
Yeah,
like,
I think like Hyperlight, the OP1W 4K, and also there's like a OP1 clone that came out.
The MCHOS one?
Oh, I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
Thoughts on Final Season 5? I've only played a couple games. You'll actually see both of the games I played in this recording. But I really liked it. I thought the visual recoil changes were really good. I don't know. The direction of the game as a whole is like clearly not for me. As in like, I like to run around and shoot things. The game is gravitating away from that, but I still really like the game and I think you still can do that. It's just not as viable now competitively.
It's a shame that they mess with the mag size.
Yeah, mag size has been a big no.
I can't believe Maddie is here. I was thinking that we're gonna have no American viewers because it's 5 a.m.
He said I'm staying up to watch the streams. So welcome, Matty. Hello. I'm new to glass pad. Okay, this can be. Okay, you can do this one.
I'm new to glass pads. Should I be lowering my sensor? Should I keep playing on my original sense? I don't think you will really go wrong if you decide to lower it. I feel like that's kind of like a rite of passage that most people go through with glass. And it's not like, usually it's not permanent. Once you get used to the surface a little bit more, you'll probably be able to raise it and then be much more comfortable with it after you develop some comfortability.
Where do you ask the questions? In chat, just here, anywhere. No, I gotta sneeze, one sec. Sorry, that might happen a few times. Have you tried Delta Force? We both have. I like the full game a lot, actually. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a lot better than the beta. I think the maps are pretty good now, whereas before there were two and they both were not the best. But the game's got some issues. It's not perfect.
The map that's similar to the 2042 map with the big dome, I actually quite enjoy that one. It gets a little bit choke pointy sometimes, but it actually feels like it has flank routes, which, I don't know, didn't feel very true for like Ascension, for example. But yeah, it does suffer a lot from visual recoil, and I feel like the point of aim is not centered. Like, it'll go where your crosshair goes, which is bad when your crosshair is going everywhere. If you play that game with an on-screen, like, it's like Whiplash. Some guns will go over the crosshair, and then some guns will go like under.
Yeah, I've had some weapons like, I don't know, recoil so that the dot is below my center of screen, just from
so
stacking like
strange.
recoil attachments on. Oh, hey Jess. Hope you've been well. Do I need to change my grip? No, I don't think so. Palm grip, maybe. But I think claw and fingertip are both like 100% viable. And you can't really go wrong with them. Palm is just a little iffy because you sacrifice so much like mobility.
Interesting. Do we know of any like crazy palm grippers in Apex?
Apex.
Just because it's a game that would benefit from that kind of
I
mobility.
don't think so. I've gotten good Kovac scores on it.
Okay,
When I had
okay.
really long nails, I like couldn't claw the mouse. You still using the 480 Hz? Yeah, I kept it. There was a few points where I was thinking about sending it back. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, when it was like completely just fucked up.
Like right at the start?
Yeah, yeah.
I see.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I was concerned.
But yeah, I kept it. It's mostly fixed now.
Story's palm grip. I see.
He's really good.
Yeah. A lot of ergo mice too, I think.
2 questions about sensor randomizer. Okay. I have mixed thoughts. I have tried it for a little, and I think it can be useful if you want to become like more cognizant of your mouse movements and more aware of, you know, it brings you into conscious focus, you know. You can't just like autopilot go for flicks because like your sensor's changing.
Yeah.
But I also don't really know if it's that good for learning. Like, I don't know. I was always super tense and my arm would be really tired at the end of a play session. I was going to make a video about it. I might make it at some point, but I don't know. I don't think it's that good. I've never felt like I need to use sensor randomizer.
Sorry.
Thank you. I've never felt like I need to use sensor randomizer or else I won't improve. You know, I've never found it necessary.
I think that's pretty much my thoughts as well. Is that it will bring your aim into top of mind, but doesn't really do that much for nonsense randomizer practice.
I feel like that's why people like think it helps so much though, because they're not normally thinking about their aim and it makes them think about it. So, yeah. Can you explain the difference between palm and fingertip? I'm actually going to turn on my hand cam over the top. Oh, it's so bright. So this is palm grip. My fingers are fully flat along the top of the mouse and my palm is touching at the back here. And then fingertip is like the opposite. So only the tips of my fingers are touching and it means I can move the mouse with my fingertips.
That's funny that you have a hand cam go on top of the hand cam. Put that in Twitter. We've confirmed that the hand cam is fake.
Did you get any fire in the wallhack? No, I got so sick of that. Like, not even the scenario. It's aim lab. I can't stand it. But gonna bite my tongue there. I just felt like there was so much input lag. Anyway, how does one force palm contact when clawing? I guess the main thing is to curl your fingers a bit more. You'll kind of pull the like hump of your mouse into your palm. Thank you, Paints, and thank you for the T1. 9 months.
This is my mic that I brought from the US. And after one day, she's like, I might have to buy this thing. And this thing is not cheap. You actually are?
Yeah. I've made up my mind. I want one.
It was one of those things that really piqued my interest because it's like a kind of a niche alternative. It's not a dynamic or condenser, but it's like theoretically better than both in some use
it's
cases.
like your thing.
That's like my
basically.
thing, yeah. And it is good. It is good. We're quite far from the mic because we're both in the same room, but
Yeah. Move from the sensor approach. Are you familiar?
wait, what? Move from the sensor?
I'm not familiar with this. Can
I've
you
heard of
like?
the move- Is it true or it doesn't matter? Move from the sensor. As in, like, that was crazy. You envision the sensor as like what you're moving around? I don't know.
Water bottle. I have a video, I think it's my pinned video on my channel, that just goes through like all of the basics of aim training, like how to get it set up, should you play playlists, how often should you play benches versus playlists, like that kind of thing. You can check that out if you'd like, and I think that'll kind of guide you through the first bit.
I've heard people say aim with your arm and not your wrist, but is there actually a big difference? I think making it that's like a false dichotomy.
Yeah, I agree.
You're meant to do both for different things. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, and you're meant to use both when the situation calls for
Like
it.
that was arm there, full arm, because I'm not making that movement with my wrist. And then this would also be arm, and then that little track to the side would be wrist. You have to use both because they're both better and worse at different things.
Yep.
What is the best mouse sensor? I don't know if there's a hot take. It doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah, they're all so good.
Yeah. As long as it's like,
Good enough.
what, 3370 or newer, it doesn't really matter. 3395 and 3950 are better. Just like on a, I guess, technical level, they can do more, like AK motion sync, for example, but, you know, you don't need it.
Here we go. I've heard a guy saying that most people try to aim by moving the arm, but instead we should think of the sensor as the beginning of the movement, and then your wrist/arm will naturally do what it needs in order to aim. I disagree with that.
I disagree
heavily.
too. I've seen far too many people not doing, like, their wrist and arm are not doing what it naturally needs to do. You know, maybe they're only playing wrist, maybe they're only playing arm, maybe their arm is like off the table, moving their wrist around. I don't know. I feel like it's good to at least... What was that noise? Oh, Hype Train. Mafia, thank you for the sub.
That is the washing machine.
I might get the OP1W 4K. I'll see. I've had so many people ask about it. I kind of want to make a video. What was I saying? I was talking about... Yeah, I've seen a lot of people not doing the right things in terms of muscle groups and not utilizing them correctly. And I think at least having a think about it and thinking like, why am I using the muscle group I am? Is this correct? Can be pretty beneficial. It's not like night and day. It'll fix your aim if you just think about it a little bit. It's good to consider.
I feel like it's usually not the best advice to say, okay, this is... I'll qualify this with some
I know what you're going for.
It's going to say, like, doing what comes naturally to you is not universally good advice.
It can be good.
It can be good, but you should think about what's coming naturally to you may be good or may be bad. And overthinking it can be a problem, but I wouldn't say as a general rule, like, whatever is natural to you is what you should be doing.
I mean, yeah, I started playing, like, basically arm only, 70 cm on a G502. That was what was natural, but it was only natural because of my setup, right? I used low sense because I wanted to just create as much inertia as possible, and I couldn't really wrist only because I would create too much inertia and then I would overshoot. So, you know, natural might not be like what is biologically best or whatever. It could just be what has become natural because of your setup or circumstances or, you know, posture, that kind of thing.
What's that?
Do you know any good aimers that use fingertip? Just snapped one. You'll see Pingu's clips later in the video. I think you're a very good aimer.
Thank you. That makes one of us. Who else uses fingertip within the aim training space?
Oh, there aren't that many.
Siba?
Yep. Claw is like...
I guess Clover does a little bit with M2K.
Somewhat, yeah.
But that's
Clover,
more like
Clover
a
aims really
side
well with
project.
fingertip, but yeah, it's not his main thing. He has that weird like pivot grip. Skooky, okay.
Really? That's actually
That's
quite
cool.
interesting.
I didn't know. What's the best method to break through plateaus? For me, it has always been variety. And I find that a lot of the stuckness that comes from a plateau is like not entirely mental. I don't even know what this person was doing. Not entirely mental, but like mostly mental. You know, I'll get stuck in a certain way of thinking or lean into certain habits when playing, and changing something like, you know, my mouse or my sense or even just how I'm thinking about aiming as a whole can like shift my focus away from the fact that I'm stuck and onto this new thing. It's another thing Sensory Randomizer is good for, actually. Yeah, less mechanical, more mental.
Who's the guy that cut the OP1 AK in half and made it turn into a fingertip mouse?
There's been a few.
I know of me and Calc. Muggy type posting. SMH.
Okay, look,
SMH.
it's like 148 type ratio. Best of 10. I think one of the most important aspects of aiming is how high your desk is. I wanted to know, how high is your desk? Do you need to flare out your elbows? I actually have my arms on my armrest when I play, which I know is a little psychotic, but it works for me. I use them as pivot points, and because of that, my arms will sit slightly outwards, and then my armrests will be slightly above the desk. So
I think desk height's one of those things that like different desk heights will have different functions as to like which parts of your arm or like, you know, biomechanically what's going on. But at the same time, it doesn't really, you know, fully dictate your aim.
yeah, I agree. I feel like there's a range of like acceptable. Like you can definitely have a desk that is too high or too low, but you could raise or lower mine by raising it by a couple of centimeters would actually be really bad, but lowering it by a couple of centimeters would not affect how I aim at all. How do I stop buying mice and pads? I've stopped, for what it's worth. I haven't bought new stuff in a bit. I bought the Key 83, but that was for you.
You also bought another 0.
I did buy another 0.
She's got like fucking 7.
This is Pinguefy with me.
Hello. Do you think about picking up your mouse is wrong when aiming? Oh, I see. Like when tracking.
I mean, mid-track, it's not great.
Right.
If you have to reset,
Sometimes you have
to
to.
reset. But
You try to avoid it, but if it happens, it happens. And you should get good at doing it if possible.
I agree. It's a good skill. How's the upper one cable? I don't really notice it. The sense change. I don't really notice it.
That's fucked up.
It feels fine to me. I wasn't actually going to buy the new wireless version just because I don't notice the cable, but I probably will just because a lot of people have asked me about it. I saw one about frame rate. Can I plug my Patreon video?
Sure.
It's free. I have a video for anyone on Patreon. You just have to sign up. You don't have to pay anything. Talking about how refresh rate affects your aim. And I go through like, 60, 144, 240, 360. And I talk about everything that I noticed going from each refresh rate. So, you don't have to pay anything. It's just there. It's me talking for, 20 minutes.
Good video.
Yeah. Is this going to be a VOD? Yeah, it'll be on my second channel. Skates. I have the Artisan Dot skates. They're the best I've ever used.
Yeah, they're a little bit insane. There were so many pads that when I got here, Laura was like, "Oh, this pad is so awful, isn't it? I used the Artisan Dots on it," and they're like, "This isn't that bad." It just kind of like covers a lot of the weaknesses, and it makes a lot of pads feel less muddy.
Yeah.
By just making the static friction really low, or at least relative to other skates, but not really messing with the dynamic that much.
And it also kind of removes, like, on most cloth pads, when you press down into them, it will get a lot slower, and it will get slower in a way that makes the pad feel muddy. So, like, the static friction will go up, the dynamic friction will go up, but not as much. On this, it doesn't really go up that much at all. It kind of just stays the same until you really press down, and then it'll slow down a little bit. It smooths out the experience of cloth pads a little.
I agree. It's definitely helped my transition to using cloth a bit more.
So you did stick with them, right? On the
I did
comedic
stick with
route?
them, yeah.
Okay. This is a pre-recorded gameplay.
I feel like cloth mouse pads change in sensitivity randomly with humidity and season. Is that real, or am I just get so?
They will slow down as it gets more humid,
For sure.
but it shouldn't really be randomly. It should be just one day it's a lot slower.
Yeah, based on the humidity, basically. Unfortunately, that's kind of even the best pads that are the most humidity resistant will usually still have some amount of slowdown. Which is why glass is the truth. That is one of the few things I feel like is a pretty objective benefit. It's the fact that the pad will always have pretty much the same aiming experience.
Do you guys use NVIDIA Reflex? I do. I have it set to on plus boost. I think latency is way more important than frame rate. Frame rate matters, but I don't know, the responsiveness of the game is way more important. Is that a setting you've messed much with, or just
I usually just turn it on and don't think about it.
If you're worried about FPS, just turning it on won't decrease FPS that much. So, can higher polling make sensitivity feel slower? I guess it could if your game is stuttering, but it's a side effect of a side effect, not a primary cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, sir. Mental advice on calm aim. You're better at fluidity and transition.
I don't know about that.
Micro than me.
The problem is that my mental is awful. I think you have to be good enough to where it's your default. Practice it so much that even when you are panicking, your aim is still not overly tense and jittery.
That was my opinion too. Of course, I don't know, being conscious of it in the first place is how you get there, but you can't be thinking about your aim all the time. It won't work. So yeah. Do you feel like glass isn't for you, and why? So I think with glass pads, it's a bit strange because originally the core of the issue is this: I can't aim on them. I'm okay, but significantly worse than usual, and that's enough to discourage me from using them. And I've put time onto them, probably 4 months total, and I just cannot shoot straight. I thought it was a skill issue. I thought I just wasn't good enough. Tried to train through it. Didn't work. What it comes down to, I think, is that glass in a lot of ways isn't necessarily harder, just fundamentally different from cloth. So, for example, finger drag. So having your fingers touch against the mouse pad to generate friction and pressing more fingers or down further into the pad to vary it based on the situation. That's something I use a lot. And it's just not possible on glass. You can't press into it. It's just glass.
I think it'll probably be tension release.
Yeah, that gets a lot harder because you can't lean into the friction of the pad. I think that's something a lot of people get wrong, actually. I think people think of friction as something to be avoided and that zero friction is the perfect aiming experience. I don't really agree. I think friction is a tool to kind of lean into. Repixelated. Is this for everyone or... It does say unstable, but we should be getting them. Be right.
I had the opposite experience where I used glass for so long that I couldn't go back to cloth. I became very reliant on having super low static friction, having a sleeve so my arm doesn't drag, and not having the pad slow down while I push down. So I really do feel like it's a matter of what you learn with, and you can use both. And I even use both in my clips coming up later. But
yeah, sec. I got one idea. If I put this here, this here, this here. And then full screen play. Are we good? Probably not.
Any better? Or is this an Aussie internet moment?
It could be. I don't know. I haven't tried streaming on.
Our bitrate graph looks okay.
Yeah,
Do
it doesn't look
let's
terrible.
go! Oh my god, sorry.
Feels like the bit where it went down. I guess Doom Eternal could do that. There's a lot going back. I'm just going to give it a second before it plays again. Alright, we'll see.
Hello? Any refreshers on the chat?
Hopefully. Okay, thank you. Sorry everyone, I hope this has helped a little. I just forgot that I had a new monitor and that I would need more bits than I have to stream at 1440.
Is there a point where a mouse can become too light and instead of having a low tension aim, the light introduces shaky aim?
I haven't tried any that would fall under that category. I think the lightest mouse I've properly aimed with would be the HTS2, which is like 30 something.
What about the HSK Pro?
Yeah, and that's a bit different though because it's not full size. I feel like it
Yeah,
kind of
that's true.
changes.
That's true. I think the argument is more like usually it doesn't matter after a certain point, but does it introduce instability as a general rule? I don't think it's necessarily an inherent quality. I think will allow more instability to show in your aim, but I think that it should be trainable.
That makes sense to me, yeah.
Personally, I don't think there is such a thing as too light. Whether or not it matters is a different question entirely, but I think for fingertip aim, like, you pretty much will just want as light as you can get within reason.
I agree. Default tracking CM. I'm going to say 38, just to give you a number because I know that's what you're looking for. Truth is there isn't one, and everyone will have a different preference based on a bunch of different things, but you can't go wrong with like 38. It'll give you the stability you need and the speed you need.
Should I try a real fingertip mouse? I don't feel super good at fingertip with the Beast X Mini or a Kitsu.
Beast X Mini is
I was just
tiny.
going to say that like Beast X Mini is a good one. So if you don't like fingertip with the Beast X Mini, it might not be for you. But it depends on what you don't like. If you don't like the holes, then like that's a different story.
When we flick, we need to create tension, and how do we disperse or stop the tension? So I think what that comes down to in terms of getting rid of tension mid-flick, you can press your fingers into the pad to create more friction. That will do it for you. Friction itself will do it for you. And then if you're on a really fast pad, like a glass pad, you just don't need to put as much force in. And like you can put in just a tiny amount of force and then let the inertia of that movement carry you all the way through. And that's like insanely tough to do. But that would be like the perfect solution in my opinion.
What mouse feet were we talking about before? We're talking about the artisan dots, but unfortunately they're not out yet. It should be soon though, right?
Soonish. The last ones I got were like not final.
I see.
They had like messed up adhesive that almost ruined the bottom of my mouse. But like the new ones are final. They're released version as far as I know.
I see. That's cool. Aside from that, we're both big fans of Jades.
Yeah. J King, thank you for the Prime sub.
Let's go.
Thoughts on glass mouse skates?
Ooh.
Um,
So everybody says they slow down after some period of time. Is that the mouse skate slowing down, or is that the
both.
the pad?
Both. I've tried like glass skates on one pad, it got really slow. Tried another pad, still really slow.
I see.
So
Dang, that sucks. So that seems like kind of a deal breaker. I mean, if they work that, I don't know. The problem is that any pad you use it on will become slower pretty fast. Like when I got my Raiden Mid, I actually quite liked it for a cloth pad, and I tried using Lexips on it, which are a type of ceramic skate, and within like a month, the Raiden was like unusably slow. The static friction was just way too high. So I don't know. There's an idea there for sure, but until the quality of life issues are sorted out, which I don't even know if it's possible, then like, yeah, I don't think so. The other option is use a plastic hard pad with hard skates, and I had some success with that, but it didn't feel great.
Thank you, Giovanni and the Shady, for the subs. Oh, I'd also like to mention with skates, artisan dots get like close enough to the feel of glass skates that I have no interest in the glass skates anymore. I know I hype these things up like crazy. They deserve it. They're that good.
Really good. The first time she talked about it to me, she said like it's like going to 144 hertz for the first time, which I don't know if I'd go that far, but I'm also used to very low static friction from glass.
I don't know. On the Zero, it just like changes the mouse pad.
They're really good.
What size are your hands? Like 18 by 8 and a bit, I think. You're probably a better one to comment about this.
Mine are like about the same as yours, actually. Yeah, 16 by 8.5 or so. And I would agree with you that even with the OP1, it feels a little bit, not like unwieldy. That's about the size where I'm, like with a claw grip, I'm pretty happy. But yeah, I had the same problem as you. And my solution was fingertip grip. But also, I've been enjoying the HTX Mini a lot. Just because it's the smallest, quote-unquote, full-size mouse that I've ever used. And it just doesn't feel big at all. It feels like to scale. I guess the other one would be like the Beast X Mini. I haven't used that personally.
It's pretty similar.
It would be pretty similar, yeah.
What do you think about people using Rizotech, Ancest, QCK, and Slamming Wall? I mean, yeah, it's how it goes. If someone's good, they'll be good on anything.
Yeah.
It, like, I don't know. I won't get that much worse from swapping to West peripherals. The most I've ever dropped in voltaic rank from a peripheral switch was like 2.5. And that wasn't on the QCK or anything. I only dropped like 1 on the QCK. So... unless someone's using like a very out there pad that doesn't work for their style, there won't be that much of a difference, in my opinion.
I feel like it more affects the way you aim stylistically.
I agree with that, yeah. Cricket, thank you for the prime sub. It's at 240 hertz. You should check that everything's working properly, because from 75, like... I don't know, 75 genuinely is like not usable to me anymore. I could not go back to it. 240 is so much better.
Relaxed fingertips? Yeah. There are people who will just, like you said, it's like a relaxed claw grip except no palm contact. And there are people who will use like an aggressive claw grip with no palm contact.
Oreo, by the way. Sorry, Repo. This is Doom Eternal, so I'm not playing this live, this is pre-recorded, but this is a really, really fun single-player FPS. It's so good. It's so good.
It's one of the few PvE games where it feels like aiming well is just like, I don't even know how people play this game if you don't aim well. It's really hard, and like, I don't know.
Enemies have like different weak points that are tiny and you have to like hit them, otherwise you'll take crazy damage from like a giant shoulder cannon or something, but you can just shoot it off. So yeah, it's really good. Have you played 540? Not 540, but I have 480 hertz OLED, which is like close enough in terms of motion clarity. Oh my god, it's so good. 240 hertz now looks a bit bad, which is ridiculous. I didn't think that was like possible.
The most screwed up thing I've seen is watching her play Apex, because like we'll both be in the same lobby and I'm like, I'm not playing the same game as you.
Do you use your fingertips much? Yeah, I do actually. I use them more than most claw grip users, I think, because I can like move the mouse around with my fingertips while staying in claw. Do you do hand and wrist exercises? Not anything specific. I used to do some stuff from 1HP, but I haven't really felt the need to in a while. I don't feel like I'm limited by my physical hand strength as much as I am just like, you know, needing to put in more time to get better. I feel like there are probably some situations where they'd be really good to do. I just have not ran into them in years, so I don't do them anymore. I thought I was like dead there. I forgot.
I do recommend RSI stretches, though. That's something I picked up as a habit when I started playing a lot of OS. And I don't know, it's just nice to do before and after your sessions. Keep your wrist healthy.
Thoughts on Diac? It's really good. But that also goes for like any kind of backlight strobing. You've been using it a bit recently, actually.
Yeah, it does make a big difference for sure. If it doesn't cause you eye strain and you don't mind the brightness debuff, it's like a straight upgrade in terms of motion clarity.
Yeah, the good ones will like double the effective motion clarity. So like the 540 hertz Zowies can get about 1,000 hertz effective motion clarity, which is ridiculous, right? Like that's absurd. That's a crazy number, and it looks about that good. Like, you know, your one looks probably about the same as mine, with, and you know, your monitor is 360 hertz with ULMB. This is 480 hertz OLED. To match it is crazy. But I wouldn't buy a Zowie monitor anymore just because they're 1080p. I don't know. The resolution just looks kind of bad now.
I probably could still go back to 1080. I've been liking 1440 a lot for Battlefield, but
okay. Speak of the devil.
but
I hope you've been well.
Oh, what's it called? I probably could still go back.
Okay.
I also forgot I've been using 27-inch. It's not nearly as debilitating as I thought it would be. I always thought 24 would be my end game, but it really doesn't make that big of a difference.
That's good. I was a bit worried about that when you got this one.
Mm.
I've always wondered, would you say you have to be naturally talented to achieve a level like yours on Matty or W? I think I kind of disagree with naturally talented as a concept, especially with people like Matty, much more so than myself. He's like committed himself fully to aim training. He plays more than I could he plays more than I do in a month in like a couple days. It's ridiculous. And I do not know a single person in the scene who is as committed to aim training as he is. And it's why he's the best. And it's why he'll stay the best until he stops playing or someone else comes along who's equally or more committed. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that, like, you know, I have 2,000 hours in aim trainers, and I have well over 10,000 hours in FPS games at this point. That's a lot of time, you know, and a lot of it is consciously thinking about, like, how can I get better? How can I improve? How can I get better? How can I improve? What am I doing wrong? And that conscious analysis is the big differentiating factor, in my opinion.
I agree.
So someone who plays casually for 10,000 hours is going to get demolished by someone who is actively VOD reviewing, analyzing, aim training for 10,000 hours. Like, it's not even going to be close.
Mm-hmm. It's like how a lot of people will just stay at the same words per minute with typing, even though you type every single day. Because if you don't put in a conscious effort to get better, it's not like you won't get better, but the rate will be much slower, and there probably will be a point where you will plateau because you just aren't thinking about what you could be doing to get better.
Yeah. I think that comes from, like, a core weakness underpinning everything else that's, like, limiting you. I ran into one of those, actually, in, like, 2022. And you have to analyze and fix that core weakness to get any better. That was probably the longest mechanical plateau I had. It only got better when I fixed the weakness. I couldn't train around it. I had to train through it and just fix it.
I've seen that proper flick tech is like alleviating tension instead of tensing up with your flick, but I can't even understand what that means. Would you like to explain?
Would you like to explain?
So, at least I think that's referring to something called the tension release, where you will have tension during your aim, during a flick with the tension release. It just isn't going to be there as a means of stopping. So the tension will be present at the start of the flick in order to generate speed and begin the motion, but throughout the duration of the flick you want to start relaxing your arm and let the friction of the pad or whatever skin contact you have, anything that will stop your mouse other than locking up your wrist. And it doesn't have to be a complete release of tension either. Like, just lessening the amount that you have by the end of the flick will basically be the goal here.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you.
Bad $20 mouse on a good monitor. Good mouse. It's got to be the monitor. Honestly, I would take the bad mouse. $20 isn't an unfathomable like you can get something for $20. 60 hertz, there's nothing going on there, you know. Mm-hmm. Compared to a good monitor, it's just not. They're not in the same category. And you know, whereas with mice, like, I want to say $50 is where you start encountering products that are really, really good. Like, you know, the OP1 1K is really, really good. And you'll get less and less benefits from more and more money put in. It's mostly just like comfort features, like wireless or hi-hats.
For sure.
That kind of thing.
Pingu, do you have finger contact on glass? I do. Not always. And it's something I realized as I tried to use the Beast more, because I said that was a great pad for being able to utilize finger contact as a means of slowing down as opposed to like hard stopping like it would be with a lot of other glass pads. But it really is fundamentally different than it is on cloth. Because with cloth, you can just have your fingers on the pad all the time and increase the pressure. But with glass, it's like you have to be pretty much completely off in order for it to not get stuck. But I still do for just stopping fast.
Thank you, Gear Vanguard. Appreciate it. Hope you've been well. What mouse do you want actually, Legion? I'm curious. I'm late. It's no worries. I'll have the VOD up on my second channel probably by tomorrow. I'll try and be quick with it. So, how do you guys do Battlefield 5 clips? I need a tutorial. I was actually thinking about making a video talking about, like what is the mentality that goes into this? Because there is a bit of thought behind it.
There is a bit of thought.
It's different from normal play. Like, you know, there's snapping to angles, obviously, but there's also positional elements that are really important, especially in Battlefield, less so in COD. But yeah, I've thought about making that video. That
would be cool.
It'd be a second channel video, just kind of rambling about it. Is that something people would want to see? Because, like, I don't know, it's really niche. I know it's really niche.
It's something I've never thought about prior to playing Battlefield 5. And yeah, the way I play now is a lot different to the way I played when I first started just playing this game in general.
Yes?
Yeah, you should do it.
All right.
It's cool. It's something that people probably don't think about either.
Ganovas, thank you for the Prime sub. It'll probably go on the back burner. I really want to get this Artisan video done. I'm making a video reviewing every Artisan mousepad, so that's kind of top of the priority list right now. After that, I might... Why would I be less stable and spin this with a mouse with more palm contact versus one with less? I think that would come down to fingertip engagement. So you might be able to comment on this from experience, actually. On mice with more palm contact, do you feel like more smooth or do you feel more restricted?
I do feel like because my fingers are less engaged, I have to utilize my wrist more for fine motions. And because of that, I'll end up making these a lot of like over adjustments that wouldn't happen with more fingertip engagement.
Okay, that's roughly what I thought. Yeah.
It was really bad with the XM1 because that mouse just like
it's huge.
With my really small hands, it just pushed my palm all the way back, and it just felt like unwieldy.
What's your Delta Force input settings? I don't know if you've seen the Marvel Rivals input fix. If you do that on Delta Force, it will fix it. That's not a joke or anything. Good night, Matty. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Do you touch the mousepad with your fingers for stability? Yeah, I do. I generally it's just my thumb, but I'll occasionally press my pinky and even my ring on as well if I have to.
How would you describe a good reactive tracking technique? Well, I think the first part is that it is reactive, where you're not predicting the motions of the target. You are... I guess anticipating is fair, but you only move when the target moves. And then the other one would be relatively smooth readjustments.
I think a lot of people make the mistake of trying to snap back to the target instantly. And I feel like that's bad because it leads you to more commonly overshoot, but also because you're not really, you're not making controlled reactions at that point. I feel like if you just take a bit of time, just like, I don't know, a couple milliseconds to process the motion on your screen before reacting, you'll end up with a much more accurate adjustment. And like in something like air, the target might go from long strafing downwards, long strafing upwards with a direction change in between those two state changes. So you will have to read that state change and then readjust accordingly. Whereas if you don't, you'll have to chain two adjustments together, which is not smooth or good. I don't know if that made much sense.
No, I agree.
Okay. Do you spend a lot of time VOD reviewing? Not much, actually. I can do it sort of in real time now. Like, I'll
cool.
notice, okay, I'm not like adjusting properly. What's going on? Or like, I'm not correcting properly. What's going on? I'm under tracking. Why? That kind of thing. This isn't live. This is pre-recorded. Let me try and find the Marvel Rebels thing.
This is on stream, by the way.
Oh, it is?
Second moment, right? Oh, never mind. It's
It's
first moment.
main,
I'm
yeah,
stupid.
yeah.
I'm stupid.
Give me a heart attack there.
My bad. I do a decent amount of VOD review. I save it extra long clips for whatever I'm getting clips on, and it'll be useful to go back through miscellaneous gameplay and see like mistakes I've made. And sometimes I will clip like moments of extreme blunders just to see like what went wrong here. How did I even mess it up this badly?
Okay, I think it's this. There was another one from, was it Rigsy? I think it was Rigsy.
Yeah.
What was this? VOD review in games? Okay, well, you do it in game.
I do it in game.
I do my like live VOD review in Aim Trainers.
I would do it in both though, personally. I like weird fishes a lot. Radiohead.
Thoughts on keeping your vision centered around the crosshair middle of target. I know my eyes move around a lot. I've actually used the night tracker to test this. Generally, I'm not going to leave the middle like 30 degrees of my screen. But like if there was someone in that doorway, I would spot them with my peripheral, start looking over, start the motion, finish looking over as I finish the motion. It's like my eyes will stay in the center of the screen because of the eye tracker delay, but they're slightly leading my crosshair.
Your peripheral vision is messed up though. There'll be times where I'll play a clip for you and it'll take me like 3 watches to see a guy on my screen that you saw in the first watch.
Thoughts on the VR? I like the V6. I haven't used the Mini. I haven't used any of the newer ones, but I thought it was pretty good. And I would rather support them financially than Final Mouse. So if you like that shape, go for it, honestly. Sometimes it's not just peripheral. Yeah, audio cues is a really big one. I think a lot of people could benefit. That was really cool. I think a lot of people could benefit from practicing directional based, like audio directional based flicks. So what I did for a long time was I would play 360 target switching in Kovacs and then just flick based on sound if they're out of my peripheral. And I got really, really good at that.
Really good at it.
And I haven't trained it recently, but the skill's like mostly still there, I think.
Is there a reason why most top mirrors use 16:9 sort of stretched?
I think it's just a lack of reason to use stretched, to be honest.
Yeah. Because you still use stretched in CS.
I do, but it's purely habitual. I used it because pros used it when I started, and I kept it because I liked how it felt.
It does feel nice.
It does feel nice, and I like how, like, in some games it can speed up the horizontal movement, which is nice for me if it, like, feels a little slow. Like in Valorant, I'd love to play true 4x3 if I could, but I can't. So, I don't know. I don't think there's an objective advantage to stretched.
There are trade-offs. I think it's mostly just preference, though. I know Xyle still uses 16:10. I use 16:10 for a while, too.
More raw input. Yeah, so we're probably going to record one in January. Miss Colours is going to New Zealand soon, but when she gets back, we'll record another. Used to play because I had to remember a lot. Yeah, I think that was it for me as well. Like, I would play it and I'd be like, wow, I am really well on this when I'm getting like 100 frames extra on like, 720p black bars. So, yeah. So, yeah, let's focus on angles and such when there isn't a target. If I'm holding in between, like, I don't know, let's say I was just like staring at a wall or something, waiting for someone to peek me from 2 angles, I will be looking at one of the angles and then holding the other with my peripheral. If I'm holding an angle, I'm staring at the angle I'm holding, watching the other in my peripheral. Which cicada wings? These are not like OP1, they're just like hand cut. You actually taught me a trick for this. Would you want to tell them?
You put the grips that come with the mouse on the back side of the grip tape. So the problem is that you'll get mirrored grips, like the left click grip will go on the right click, but it is still a lot easier to cut it out. And then the other issue would be the side button cutouts. But that one you can just kind of eyeball.
Yeah. I've tried to improve my input some time now in Kovacs voltaic pinches. I try to use the voltaic fundamentals. Takes a lot of time for me to complete. Has to be consistent. So what I normally do, I don't actually do like super long 2-hour aim training sessions anymore. I usually do a little bit for warm up, and then maybe at the end of the day I will pick out a scenario that will exaggerate an issue I noticed during the day. So if I was really messing up my like wide flicks or something, I will play like pole switching 360 static or something, just to really focus in on that weakness. And I'll do that for like 25 minutes and then warm up for 15. So it's not that different. Yeah, I really think one of the big misconceptions is that you need to be playing these like 2-hour long monstrosities of playlists. And, you know, whenever I've coached people, I've always leaned towards, 30 minutes of focus training rather than 2 hours of idle training. So.
How many hours do you have in Battlefield?
Battlefield, all of them?
5.
5, maybe 200, I want to say. This isn't me playing though, this is Pingu.
Thank you. I probably have 300.
You have more than me now.
I have more than you for sure, yeah.
Not really related. Let's see, my macros aren't good on static. Would super Yeah, absolutely. It's how I fixed my macros in static, actually. I have a whole segment in a video I'm working on about this exact topic. How, like, I tried, like 6 sphere or, like, micro static tasks, and they just didn't work. And then I tried control focus tracking, and then it like, fixed my macros in, like, Valorant and static. So, 100%.
How do you feel about the supposed 20G new HSKs? It's exciting. I hope they're good. I don't know. G-Wolf is such a strange company, but the HTX Mini is really, really good too. So I don't know. They're very hit or miss. I think the HCR is kind of bad, but I don't know. They're trying a lot of things, and I believe in what it
I
says.
appreciate that as well. Like that they're experimenting. Any favorite evasive switching? It's probably going to be KinTS Voltaic. It's like tried and true, but has every core feature of the category. Kovac scores in the first few weeks. I got placed silver, and then I got pretty good pretty quickly after, because I was coming from like 3,000 hours of Counter-Strike, and I really wanted to get better. So I was like asking for VOD reviews on the Voltaic Discord and like, reading like aim theory. And I think I got diamond in about 40 hours, but that was like easy diamond. That's probably about, I don't know, probably just below platinum now. So I got pretty quick, but I had a lot of FPS experience. I probably had 8,000 hours when I started playing Kovacs. So
really?
Yeah, I had 1,500 in PUBG, 3,500 in Counter-Strike, and then like 500 Battlefield 5, and then a bunch on Battlefield 4, and then like a bunch on just like miscellaneous FPS.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't like start the Grandmaster or anything. It took some time. I think I got Grandmaster in about 300 hours.
Which sleeve do I use? I have got a random sleeve I bought from Shein. I'm using on the wallhack on in this clip here. It's really good. I have a video coming out probably in the next few days where I will link it in the description. So
on second channel?
On the second channel, most likely, yeah.
Any advice for hard stuck jades? I think it's going to be my advice for hard stuck anyone's, which is to think about how you're practicing and try and vary it in some way. Even if it might not be the most optimal way to vary your practice. Like, you know, I did 17 cm for a little, and it wasn't optimal, but it got me to use my fingertips more. It got me to fix my wrist instability to some extent back then. And, you know, it got me out of this kind of slump of like, I can't improve. Why can't I improve? And I think that's the main thing. I think it's like, you have to get over the fact that you're stuck to fix the fact that you're stuck. You can't be thinking about like, I'm hard stuck Jade whenever you're playing, because you're not going to get anywhere. And
For sure.
you know, you can do that through consciously changing things, or just like turning on a podcast while you're playing or something. That's just what's worked for me though. I know super conscious VOD reviews worked for other people too. What game is currently being shown?
This is Gunfire Reborn.
Is it like a roguelite?
It's a roguelite. This mode is kind of like a zombies mode though. I just do it because I like switching.
It's fun. I like it.
Yeah, it's a great PvE game in general. It's funny how nobody asked about the previous like 7 games being shown.
The only ones that got asked about was the single player.
That's true. It's kind of strange to me that like people love movement shooters in the single player sphere, but nobody wants to play them in multiplayer.
Yeah, I think it's just the skill gap thing. Everyone wants to feel cool. No one wants to verse the other people who are also feeling cool.
Sad times.
How bad is the ping from AU to NA or EU? Horrible.
It's bad. It's bad.
Best you can possibly get to America is about 150, which is to LA servers, which like don't really exist in any game. Dallas is about 180. Everything else is over 200. And then EU is just 300 plus, which is unplayable. You can't do anything. There's one more. Mousepad placement. I have it at the bottom of my desk always, but I also have my arm quite far back. I try to have my hand roughly in the center of my pad. If I was further forward, I would move my pad further forward.
Mm-hmm.
Given 300 hours, I'm barely mastered. I had like 7,000 hours in FPS games, and it was not a good grandmaster. It was like, you know, low scores besides like a couple scenarios, and it was on an easier set of benches. Hyperdemon. I watched a video about that the other week actually, that kind of sold me on the game, but I haven't tried it yet, so that's on my to playlist. I definitely will play it.
I didn't know how that mechanic either. It's actually very cool.
It's really cool. What do you think about the Black Ops 6 complaints? I think they are people who do not understand why visual recoil is bad, because they don't know what they're talking about.
I don't know. There's like no justification unless you want to lower the skill gap.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you'd want visual recoil.
Zydrons, thank you for the Prime sub. Strunova when? I have seen streams of that recently. It looks kind of fun, so
really?
I might give it a go.
Interesting.
I know Matty loves it, so...
Okay.
State of attack shooters. I don't know. I was a Counter-Strike main before I started aim training, and then I got back into it after aim training, but I think I'm just burnt on the genre. It's just like, I don't know, not for me anymore. I don't really like that communication is forced, which sounds bad, but a lot of the time when I'm playing now, I have like, you know, half an hour. I just want to hop on, play some games, hop off. And I can't really do that with the time format of TAC FPS. And also, people are dicks in those games now. It's gotten worse. I get flamed like every single game I play, and I'm just over it. So, yeah, had enough. The issue with those games is the community there. I think at their core, the games have gone in a pretty okay direction. I think, especially like compared to when I played back in like 2016 to 2019, there are so many more options. Counter-Strike is much better than it used to be. Yeah, people might disagree with me. 2016 CSGO was not that good. Like for the time it was great. Compared to what we have now, it's not that good. Thoughts on Marvel Rivals? I enjoyed it. I only played a couple games. I felt like I was versing bots though, so I was kind of discouraged because it's like, well, shit, you know, I hit a cool target switch on AI.
Did you get that feeling in Delta Force beta?
No, because they would laser.
They were way better than the players.
How do you go about fine-tuning your ADS sense? I just kind of realized I like generally having it lower than my hip fire. And I just kind of eyeball it from there. I know I like it about 90% of my hip fire speed. I set the slider to 90. If it doesn't feel right, I'll fiddle with it. But yeah. It's button to get ranked. 0 bots after my 5th game. Okay, I think I got to 4. So I'll keep playing then. Favorite game? We'll both answer this one.
Talking about FPS or in general?
I think favorite game right now overall is probably it's Slay the Spire. It's gotta be Slay the Spire. FPS, I might go BO6. I've had a lot of fun on it recently. Post update, it feels like a different game. It's so like snappy and responsive, and the visual recoil is not there. It feels like 2019 again. MW 2019. I really like it. Really, really like it.
Slay the Spire takes up a lot of mental headspace, even though I haven't actually played a card in like months. I will just be next to Laura as she plays. And for FPS, like Battlefield 5, I still have a lot of fun with that game. Obviously, it's not always, amazing, especially with like the amount of cheaters and the amount of lobbies that are just like impossible to do anything in. But I don't know, it's the gunplay in that game is still so satisfying to me.
Yeah, it's really good. Wizard, hop back on the game. It's so much better now. They did a big update. It removed that like stupid visual recoil when you shot. I can like see what I'm shooting at now. It feels like 2019 gunplay where like I would flick to someone and my crosshair wouldn't move so I could like see them. Sponsored by? No. I've had a wallhack like code for a while. This event is like sponsored by them though. So, I think that's us. I think that's our...
Oh, it has been an hour.
Has it? Oh yeah, because
you restarted stream.
It restarted. All right. So, a random dead dude is also voltaic, also doing the wallhack event, and I think he should be live.
Yeah, let's check.
Thanks to everyone who showed up. I did upgrade my cable. I got the other endgame gear one. It's just like the same cable. Okay, a random dead dude.
Let's go.
When we stream again, I'm gonna try stream some BO6 soon because I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I'll try. No promises, but I will try. Thanks for watching, everyone. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming.